Reactive Training Systems.
Yeah, that is old school.
So where are we? We're in Canada.
So question and answer.
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
Time out. We're at CPU Raw Nationals, or is it? Are we calling it CPU Nationals or CPU?
Yeah,
CPU Nationals, because there's equip lifting too. So
Yep.
Yeah, so CPU Nationals.
Yep. In Regina, Canada, and
Regina.
yeah.
you got to say it like this: Regina.
I know. I was trying to. My flight got changed, and the person that was helping me on the phone would not say Regina. So, they wouldn't. And we're at Metal Gym right now.
Yeah, hanging out at Metal Gym. We just finished training. I finished a mediocre deadlift session and a little bit of benching and
A little bit of some benching.
Yeah.
Well, so we were talking about some technique and some issues, and you mentioned that a couple things might have made your deadlift session mediocre today.
yeah.
So what about that?
Yeah, so I don't know, messed around as far as positioning distance from myself to the bar. I was messing around with some of that, and looks good with light weights, but when the weight gets a little bit heavier, it looks terrible. So the heavy weight matters. So I mean, you modify the technique so that the heavy weights look how they're supposed to look. You know, so I'm basically going back to what I was doing before. There's a delay to all this stuff. It's tree sap in the winter. You know, it takes a little bit to get going. By the end of the session today, things were starting to gel a little bit and feel a little bit more normal, but it takes a little bit to start to feel that tightness again, you know.
To get it back.
Yeah, and I mean that's so important. And at the seminar in May, Jim and Mark are going to have a whole presentation that's focused on tightness and building that tightness in the deadlift, because I think if there's one thing that you can learn and get better at technically, even I've been deadlifting for 19 years and I can still get tighter, you know, I can still improve that part of my lift, and when you get it right, man, it's just excellent. But when you mess it up, then you go, oh, it felt really heavy, you know. Well, of course it felt heavy, you weren't tight, you know.
Right.
And it's not something that, it's not like stance width where you get it and you go, okay, just do it the same way every time. You know, tightness is a thing that, it's a skill that you have to build. You know, you get better at it as you get stronger, as you develop as a lifter.
The first thing is you have to understand it, and then once you understand it, then you can get better at it, and
Yeah.
you can continue to develop. But so how do you address something like that? Because obviously you're not the only one that has this issue where, you know, you're messing around with light weights and you're working your technique, you're working your form with light weights, and then it doesn't reveal itself until
Right.
you know you hit your top set, and then it's kind of too late.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, but you know, for that session.
that's why it's important to actually experience heavy weights, you know, and actually move something challenging now and then. Like I see some programs where guys never go above a 7 RPE, like almost the whole training cycle, and it's easy to miss that, you know. So you tweak your technique and you make it a little bit better with those lighter weights, but you know, okay, so now you have a 80% set that moves fast. That's great, but if it doesn't translate to a heavy 99% set, you know, then what's the point? You know?
Does the tightness factor, does that have a lot to do with your technical proficiency and just like overall familiarization, you think?
Oh yeah.
So I asked that question because, you know, we have, you know, background in swimming, 16 years of swimming, and, you know, when you talk about getting to the highest levels of that sport, you take a couple days off of swimming and you immediately notice in the water that your technical proficiency has decreased because of your frequency drop, and
Yeah.
and I think the same thing applies to the highest levels of powerlifting as well.
Oh, absolutely. When I did earlier this year, late last year, I guess it was late last year, I had a period of time where I kind of didn't really deadlift much, and when I did, it certainly wasn't heavy. I was trying to rehab my hip.
Yeah.
And when I came back to deadlifting, God, gosh, you just have to relearn that tightness all over again. And you know it, like, it's like, I'm just not getting tight. Just get tighter. Well, it's not that easy. It's a skill component that you have to relearn. I mean, it's like if you miss a bench and somebody just goes, well, just push harder. Like, it's just not helpful advice.
Yeah, where you pushing from.
Right.
So, it's overall patience again.
Yeah, patience is a big one.
Yeah, patience. In other news, Adam, you got into a first time in a bench shirt.
It was an interesting experience. Talk about, like, biting and chafing, like unbelievable. So that was really, really fun.
Yeah. What about tension in the
tension? Yeah, absolutely critical, because I mean, you got to control the weight going down and make sure it's touching the right. Although, like for me, as I'm pulling down, the shirt's getting tighter and tighter across my chest, and the blood is like, my eyeballs are coming out of my head. Basically, is what it was. A truly unique experience. I've never felt anything quite like that.
Yeah.
So just to put a timeline out there, about 5 minutes after you were done with the shirt, you're like, I don't know, and then 20 minutes later, how are you feeling?
I think it was fun. I would do it. Would do again. Would recommend. It was fun. Good times.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique experience.
Yeah.
It's
something the raw only lifters, I don't think they have any appreciation for now. After
No.
having done it now, I think there's definitely
it's a lot of
something to
technique.
there's something to that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to play around with. It's
Yeah.
fun to mess with now and then. That's I mean, the training in the equipment is, I mean, it's a different experience. It's hard in a different way. Like, I mean, yeah, you can work hard training raw, and I mean, we know it because, and I know you guys know it too, because I don't pull any punches when it comes to the training program.
Yeah.
But like an equipped training session, a hard equipped training session is hard in a different way. It's just it's tiring, like I don't even know how to describe it. Just like in your soul.
Yes.
Your soul is
No,
tired.
What did you
yes.
say when you came off? It
felt like, so the weight
felt easy, but
easy.
how did the weight feel in your hands?
The weight felt like 365 in my hands, but like coming off my chest, it was like a joke. Like
Sure.
I mean, I've done 350 raw, and I've done 385 with a slingshot, and like 365 with a bench shirt on. Like, didn't feel hard at all. Like, hard pushing wise, but then obviously lockout is a different story.
Yeah, which we should say too is a super typical experience for somebody who's first starting out with equipment. Like, it's funny because look, I did the same thing when I was first starting out with equipment. I thought, instant gains, but it's not.
Just that
It's
water.
not- that's
yeah,
not how it
exactly.
works.
Right, that's not it at all. Actually, a funny story about that I'll tell on myself. Go way back. So I'm self-taught from the beginning. Like, I read about equipment on the internet. Like, I know it's supposed to be tight.
Back before the internet was cool.
Like, I read about this stuff, but at the time I didn't have anybody around me that didn't even knew what a bench shirt was or a squat suit or any of that. So I'm self-teaching all this stuff online. And anyway, fast forward a little bit. I had a little bit of experience in equipment, but I was getting ready to go to collegiate nationals, and there's actually a good resource just up the road from me, but I didn't know enough to even take advantage of that at the time. But so I'm training in in the cadet weight room, and I'm trying to get in the squat suit, right? So I've got this new squat suit, and I put some weight on the bar, take it down, I make it down about halfway, come up with it. Put some more weight on the bar, take it down, only makes it about halfway, come up with it. And like, it got to the point where I put 850 on the bar, and yeah, so I'm like 19 years old, probably a 600-pound raw squat maybe, but yeah, I got like 850 on the bar, take it down about halfway, like it's not really going any further the more weight we stack on there. And I remember thinking that was it for the day, and I remember thinking about it later on. I'm like, squat suit's like a spring, right? it takes more weight to push you down. I only made it about halfway with 850, so it's going to take even more to push me down. And the harder you push the spring down, the harder it pushes back up, right? So I'm going to squat 1,000 at collegiate nationals, right?
Oh, man.
I wonder if they have that much weight at collegiate nationals. So, no kidding. I emailed the meet director. I was like, I'm going to squat 1,000 at this meet. I just want to make sure that you have enough weight. And of course, he didn't respond, thankfully. But yeah. So anyway, I went up to Denver at Dan Gaudreau's gym after that, and he showed me what I was doing wrong and showed me like how to make depth. I got stapled with like 700.
What'd you end up doing at collegiates that year?
I think it was middle 700s probably, if I had to guess. It's been a while.
Right.
A little bit. Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
nuts.
that's my
That's nuts.
quick story, I guess. It's a different experience.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'm tired for sure, but I mean, I obviously did like yoke walk and stuff too after that, so that's like its own.
Yeah, take
That's-
advantage of the stuff that's around.
It's tiring too.
Do
But,
you want to put a bench shirt on tomorrow? You gonna do some high frequency shirted benching?
Shit, why not,
High
man?
frequency, high intensity.
I'll
yeah.
do it until the
Be
chafing
honest.
areas start bleeding, I guess.
Be honest, it would be miserable.
It probably would. It would be really
Yeah,
painful.
let that heal. We need to get you longer wrist wraps now.
Yeah.
So, all right, we going back to the meet.
Yeah, I think we probably should do that.
Good, so I don't run out of hard drive space in this bad boy.
All right. Well, I guess that's it then.
Fun times.
Head back to the meet. See you guys later.
Reactive Training Systems.